Good morning, everyone. This is Laura. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking a peek at my video on this Monday morning. I'd like to share with you all in real time, as best as possible, the process of me painting a small loose watercolor rose composition piece, just a practice piece, using my number 6 Princeton Neptune brush. And I have some permanent rose, some vermilion and crimson here. And then for the green leaves, I also like to use some of that red color with my sap green. And then we'll go ahead and blend in the regular green from the sap green for the leaves. I'm really nervous. It's been a very long time since I've shared a video, and I know that there's other people out there that can make a more professional video and showcasing these techniques, but this is just something that I like to do. And even though it's been a while since I've uploaded, several of you have kindly asked if I can share my process, and that made me feel so good that knowing there's other choices out there that you guys would like to see a little bit of what I do. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. And I ask that you please just again be patient with me while I do this, and let my hands and brush do the talking for me as I struggle with stuttering sometimes. I'm actually working really hard on controlling it right now. All right, let's just go ahead and begin. We're going to practice a small 2 to 3 rows, loose rose composition here. And I do like to start off with a very heavily concentrated colored in center here, the bud of the rose, if you will, and just begin literally just drawing in some wispy little lines, kind of a hint that there's going to be petals forming here and there. If you ever take a look at, and I'm not looking for realism here, excuse me, I got tongue-tied there. If you ever take a look at a real rose, there's many, kinds of roses, but the petals in the middle, they're all kind of bunched up depending on the bouquet or if it's loose, but their petals are going every which way. So again, I'm not looking for realism here, just kind of trying to explain my way of thinking here. So I have my bud here all kind of drawn in. Again, just some very simple little wispy marks there. And now I'm going to begin to tap in some color, and almost like a half a crescent moon shape there. Over here as well, tap in some color. Notice how I twist and turn my fingers with my brush. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Again, take note on how I hold my brush differently throughout the entire process of the painting. I also like to dip my brush very gently on the side of the cup of water that I have here, and use the tip of my brush to bring some of the color from the edge of the petal out, just blending. Now this paper Canson is infamous for those splotchy marks that you probably see already forming, but I'm actually a really big fan of that. So it's all up to you on the paper that you want to use. I'm pretty sure you'll get better results with the blending with higher quality paper, but this paper works fine for me. So I'm just gently going here, and this is how I tap on the side so you guys can see. Just tap on the side and remove some of that color gently. The Princeton Neptune brush still holds quite a bit of color and water in there, so I can easily go and begin to form the rest of my loose petals here. And now I'm just really just using whatever I have left on my brush with a little bit of the water and making them more looser. Notice how I'm twisting and turning, kind of sweeping in, if you will, here. That's how I get things moving and going, practicing different directions with my brush strokes. kind of tapping down. Sometimes I do a little bit of a shimmy there, a little bit of a smooshing, if you will. And just really like to bring those petals out. I like the petals to look really wonky, just really different. And I'm going to take the time to appreciate that this is still wet here. I'm going to go into a little bit of the water and swipe up some of that color here along with a little bit of the sap green and begin to fill in on the sides here. Just a slight indication that there's going to be some leaves coming out. If you've ever seen really beautiful rose leaves, they have just that hint of pink or red. It's really pretty. So I'm just kind of cupping, you know, my leaves up around, going back and forth. And that's how I get those really pretty blends and bleeds here. Some of you guys have seen this on my work. I was using gouache for this piece, but this is an example. See how I have that red going in there? Sometimes a really perfect stripe happens there. That's always awesome to see. So I do this often. I'm gonna go ahead and clean my brush off and also clean off on the secondary jar of water, excuse me, because I don't want any of that green going into the center of my bud here. Now we're going to go ahead and begin working on flower number 2. So see, that was pretty simple. Actually, we're going to work on a bud up here. So we're going to come up here and just do some simple tapping in of some petals. So just tap and lay down color with just a little bit of the belly of the brush. Tap in color, little bit of pressure with the belly of the brush. It doesn't have to be anything big. This is a bud. I'm actually going to come in with another brush, and you don't have to do 2 brushes if you don't feel comfortable, but I sometimes like to do this with a just thinner brush. Doesn't matter the brand. Just taking some of that color off there, going into the green. Again, just appreciating that it's still wet and tapping in some green here. A bud is usually more heavily concentrated, colored up. Again, I struggle with describing things, so please excuse if that made no sense. But if you see a bud, you see that the leaves are in front of it, on the side. And I'm not the best at drawing a stem, so I'm basically literally just tapping in some color here to form the indication that a stem is going to be there, and just laying down some leaves like that. Practice on moving your brush different ways too. That's always a good thing. So I'm going to leave that there because I'm pretty sure I'm going to come in later on with a leaf. So now we're going to go back to our secondary, or our third flower here, our third rose, and let's go ahead and make the bud this way. So again, really simple little movements, just kind of make your brush dance on your paper. Dipping my brush into the water, a couple strokes here on my palette, and I'm going to begin to just, again, the same thing I did here, I'm going to bring it over here. Again, just moving my brush in different ways, a little bit of water. Okay, so a really rich center. Tapping some of that color off just gently. I'm literally just gliding the side of my brush up against the cup of water, the inside. And we're going to begin to just, again, bring these petals to life. Remember that each petal, each flower is completely different from the last one. It'll be completely different from the next one that you paint. No 2 petals are alike. I think we all know that, right? Just trying my best to ease my nervousness here, guys. Sorry. And don't be afraid to move your paper around too. When you move your paper around and your brush, kind of maybe, you know, wiggle your brush a bit, giving the illusion that the petals are, you know, coming out. Maybe that can help you too as well. Just filling in the space here in between. And yeah, that's basically how I do it. I love the way this came out. Very loose. And I'm actually going to be even more bold and do just one more, because why not? This one's going to be a bit more just really quick circle. Just skipping, and I do leave some white space in between, as you can see. Okay, so just very simple. Trying to take some or most of that color off. And this rose is going to be a bit more tighter. Maybe this one is the one you might like the best too, because everyone has different styles. And I am okay with my flowers meshing in together. So a really pretty little mini rose composition there. I'm not going to clean my brush off, because now we're going to go right into that green, like I've mentioned before. And this is just how I do it. So again, no cleaning off. That's how I begin to add my leaves, a little bit of the water, and the water is really tainted with the red color. So I'm going to begin to do what I usually do, and that is just begin to surround my pretty roses with pretty rose leaves. All right, and as I mentioned before, I'm going to come in here and that, and this one you might be able to, yeah. And that's how I begin to just fill in everything. I'm a huge fan of leaving my leaves really open and kind of maybe torn or tattered. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I do it. And I'm going to go ahead and make a rose leaf right here. Notice how I'm holding my brush. Twisting and turning as I go. I want a little bit of white space in between. Oh, we are getting windy here now. I don't know if you can hear that. It is super windy outside. And I'm also a big fan, excuse me, I'm also a big fan of just the wispy tendrils, kind of skipping over. And I just begin to fill in. Notice how I'm holding my brush. Very different directions, you know, different ways. Like that. All right. Now we're going to come over here and do the same thing, but I think we're going to make this one, I'm actually going to come in here and swoop really quickly to kind of fill in that little area there. And it's okay to leave negative space. You don't need to fill it up so much. I just like that look, so I'm going to go ahead and work with it. Okay, and a bit more on the green. So definitely some really pretty tattered, very textured looking leaves right there. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and do one here. This is when having a smaller piece of paper works out really well. And again, notice how I'm holding my brush, twisting and turning. Look at that really pretty line of green right there in the beginning. Purposely leaving some negative space in between. Literally just twisting and turning my brush. That's all I'm doing to get those pretty wispy leaves. I still have to work quite a bit on leaves, but yeah, that's pretty much how I do it, guys. And I think I'll go ahead and end the video here so it's not too long. Thank you so much for watching and taking a peek at this video, and I will share this on my Instagram stories, Floral Brushstrokes. I think this came out really nice. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.